Greetings from Las Vegas. Today I am going to install the Evotech Performance Fender Eliminator or Tail Tidy kit on the Triumph Scrambler 400X. This is really the first actual accessory modification I'm doing to the bike. Not a whole lot needs to be done here, just a little stuff to personalize it. And I have all of the stuff ready. This is the full kit. It's cute. It all comes in, it's almost like a lunch bag that you used to have for taking to school. But everything's all laid out here. I also have the silicone license plate frame I'll put on when it's ready to put the plate back on. I also have, now Evotech has their own video. It's very detailed, very good, despite the weird pauses between every section. It's like step 4, stage 4, stage 5, something like that. Anyway, it's great. They do a nice job. But I thought, hey, I'm gonna document all the things I do here, and I'm just gonna follow along to their video because it is so good and so detailed. And we will get this done. Hopefully it'll be rather painless. Looks like there's a lot of parts there, so we will see just how long this takes. Let's get started. So per the video, they call it stage 1 is simply removing the rear seat. So that is just a pop the key in on the side and just grab it, boom, rear seat removed, stage 1 complete. All right, the next step is it says to remove this wiring harness here. So you actually lift up on this little piece here, and then as you're lifting up, pull out, and boom, wiring harness is removed. And then we move to the next step. Next step is remove, oops, not that one. It says remove all the bolts. So there are 4 bolts securing this to the back of the bike. And this is a 5mm Allen key. And boom, they look like that. This one does at least. Let's see if these are. Okay. And let's see, there's one here. Hopefully I don't drop it. Try not to be goofy, and they're all 5mm, so that's nice. It's always, come on. All right, out you go. And your little friend. And from what I recall, once this comes out, the wiring harness that we released earlier, oh, that's a longer one, I think. Once we do this, the wiring harness just slides out through a hole, and that's it for removing the fender. So yeah, that's it. Boom, not too bad. Oops. And boom. So the harness just comes out. That's what we just unplugged a moment ago, and that was fast. Boom. Now we start getting everything else, getting all the new stuff hooked up. All right, for the next step, the instructions say to start disassembling. We're going to reuse the lights from the original Fender. So this is an 8mm socket. Start removing this reflector here. I'm not quite sure why maybe the reflector is being reused as well. So we'll pull that off. And keep all the original stuff in a little corner together. And the original reflector comes off, along with 2 nuts and a couple of washers. Of course, one of them is going to be, come on, man. Whatever. And then let's see what the next step is. All right, next step, 10 mil, the ever elusive. It seems like you can never find just the right one, so I'm using an adapter here. But the 10 mil bolt right here pulls this reflector piece off. So I'll just get that, set it to the side, and then we move on to step 7. I can do this without, there we go. And then that's just, boop, pops right off. All right, next we remove these. This is a 4mm Allen key to get these 3 nuts out of here, or these 3 bolts out of here. And they're not very long. Out you go. So, and then after we get these 3 out, and they're washers that are a little resistant to being removed. Then we get the bolts on the end, and this is all going towards getting the turn signals released, since we're using those. And let's see, of course that's a different size, and there we go, that's a 5, but I'm gonna have to get my T-handle for these, so yeah, there we go. Oh, all right, that's gonna, I guess that's good. Come right off and dangle a little. We'll have to figure out the wiring in a moment. And that's that. So now next step, I'm assuming we pull this apart and unclip the, or unhook the wires. Uh-oh. I think the missus is home. That Corvette is, I'm in her parking space in the garage right now, so. Oh yeah, there she is. You can hear her coming. There's no sneaking in with that thing. Sounds good. All right, the next step is really quick, but it was a little scary. It's, you just take the tip of a driver and just press it up against this rubber grommet, and it just has to be pressed out of place. So, and this nice thick piece will keep it from, there we go, damaging it. And then after that, you should be able to just pull these apart, and you can. So, come on, there. So this piece comes off. We'll set that down below, and next we will unhook the these little plugs here, and let me get a good grip on those. Actually, there are 5 Phillips screws that we have to remove, and then this whole wiring harness comes out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me just get those real quick and come back. All right, with those 5 screws removed, then we just disconnect the remaining wires, and we pop out, let's see, this one here, just release it, And I will probably drop it when I do it, but there we go. Hey, no dropping. Boom, turn signal. And the other one, let's see, similar. I don't know why we had to, well, maybe we'll reuse some of this stuff. And boom, turn signal. All right, next step. All right, now we start actually assembling, getting things ready for putting the unit on the bike. So this is the what they call the retro light. So we have to feed this wire up through and into this mount, and in you go. And then we have a couple of small nuts that go on these. See if I can actually get that. There we go. Huh, thought that would be harder. And with my ham hands, cool. In it goes. And they even include tiny little spanners so you can tighten them up. Hopefully that's visible. Without having to have some kind of a magic tiny tool wrench that'll fit in there, so that's nice. Probably should have put a little Loctite on that, but it's not going anywhere with that attached to it, so whatever. Okay, next step. So next we take the retro light fixture and the main bracket, and we're going to attach this, and they provide, you just have to line up these bolt holes here, and then there's a little indentation here for the wire to go in. So well, it actually comes up quite a bit. And then for this, they have a couple of M4 10 mil button head bolts or screws, whatever. And these are, what are these? 1.5, I don't know, 2.5 Allen key, something like that. So these just really easy screw in. And you know, I think I'm gonna put a little Loctite on this one just to be prudent. So I'm gonna do that real quick and then jump to the next step. So real quick, the next step was take one of the included cable ties and run it through here, and just to secure the wiring for the license plate light. Get that clamped down nice and tight and trim off the excess and move on to the next step. So this is the part where the landscapers show up just as you're about to start mounting stuff to the back of your bike. Oh wait, I don't know if the mic will block them out or not. That's kind of why I'm doing this, to hear it or see if we can hear the mower and the leaf blower and all that, but my timing, not always the greatest. While I'm waiting on the landscapers, got impatient. I put on the, you probably can't see it, tank, the little pad for the tank. And I'm gonna put on my Grip Puppies real quick. This is not really much of a thinker to get these on, but I thought, what the heck, I'll do this real quick. If there's a background noise, then whatever. So as I mentioned before, I already have the one on the other side. These are Grip Puppies. This is a simple, I think it's a $20 add-on that slides over your existing grips and just gets them, makes them a little thicker, and it helps deal with vibrations that might come through the handlebars. So they are typically, you cut them to just inside the existing grips and get it mostly, come on. Butchering this one a little bit, whatever. That looks terrible. I suck. But anyway, just have to trim it a little bit more. I'll probably trim it so much it'll be, oh, I'm just making it worse. Okay, eventually the end of this will be covered up better by, my gosh, I should have used a knife. So then you just take, let me make sure I didn't make it too short. Nah, it's still fine. Then you just take a little soapy water, get that in there. It's basically just a sponge, so you're just absorbing some soapy water in there to get these on over the edge. And you, getting it over the initial lip is usually the hardest part, but once you get it, then, all right, come on. Come on. Then the soap helps make it slippery enough. There it goes. You just twist it. Until it's all the way on. Now imagine trying to do this without something to make it a little slippery. It'd be pretty much impossible. Man, oh man, this is really, there it goes. You'd think it would be harder the farther it goes, but it actually gets a little easier. All right, that's pretty good. Then we just take a try and squeeze out some of that excess, and then it'll dry as it sits here in the garage for a little bit. But boom, works out pretty good. There you go. Anti-vibration grips. Get a little bit of the excess soap off of there. Put a little thread lock on here since the dealer, either the dealer during assembly or Triumph at the Bajaj factory decided it wasn't necessary to put any thread lock in there. And these were not that tight, which is a little scary. But I haven't put I've put hardly any miles on this yet, so I guess that's all sort of the stuff you're supposed to inspect for yourself when you first get these things. Make sure everything is good. Oh, am I already stripping? Son of a gun. All right, that's good. Maybe that's why it wasn't on there very tight. Okay, Grip Puppies. Right, so now that the intermission is complete, we return you to the main attraction, which is the next step. I did the first one already, just to make sure I got it right. Next step is to insert the turn signals into this mounting bracket here, and it's just a matter of, and in the video, in their instructions, the black one, the one with the black connector goes on this side, white connector goes on this side, and it is a cap head M6 12 millimeter bolt that goes in there, and man, these go in really snug and tight, which is great. It's that Evotech precision. Put a little thread lock on this, and in she goes. Oh, wrong side, from this side. And then that is a 5mm Allen key to tighten that up. Very good. Okay, and then we look at the next step. So I ran into a minor issue or difference here. These wires coming out of the end of the original turn signals are not quite as long as the ones that Evotech had in their video. This section of wire here is a little shorter. You're supposed to run these through and then kind of lay them flat and then plug in the original wiring harness. But the problem is if you do that on these, they're sticking straight out. So I am going to instead run, if it'll fit. Oh, it won't fit. I was going to try and run this through and plug it in on this side, but that's not going to work either. So I'm going to have to think on this a little bit. Well, here's the situation. Like I said, these right here, I don't know how clear those are to see. There we go. The wires coming out of the turn signals are just a little shorter than they were from the factory turn signals that Evotech had in their video, so there's not enough clearance up top for them to go up through those holes because they just end up sticking straight up. So I'm gonna have to, I think I'm just gonna have to open up those holes a little bit so that the original wiring harness can come down on the bottom here, and then I'll just have to deal with that being exposed slightly and then route that, because there's plenty of excess now since it's so much shorter. So that is the next step. Okay, so I think that's going to work out. Like I said, I opened up these holes a little bit so that instead of these short little stubby plugs trying to go through those holes and they end up standing straight up and there's no room for them, I opened them up so that the slightly larger plug on the main harness slips through. And then we can click those together and we'll just, I don't know, cover that with some additional, probably some electrical tape, wrap it around the whole thing. And then there's enough space once we get it up in there. This will be all right to cable tie it around there as well. So I'm going to do that, get these both through these holes and get them connected. Yeah, like that. And then put a little electrical tape on it, cable tie them down into place right there, and then we'll be fine. This is going to end up being on the bottom side anyway, so it's not going to be an issue. And then these pegs are going to go up into the existing, there's some rubber grommets that these go up into. And then this is going to go like this. So as long as I keep these off to the side here, I'll be fine. It'll be plenty of clearance and we don't have to go looking for different turn signals or tearing these things apart to get more wire out of them or something. So let me clean this up a little bit and then we will resume. All right, not too bad. I have they're wrapped up, cable tied in place, and this will actually be the back side, the underside of the bike. So then next step is we take some additional cable ties here and we run this through to hold these in place. And these little cable ties are all in. These are just a couple of tiny little screw holes here, or screw holes, a couple little holes here. Run this through one. In the instructions, they actually have you going through the bolt hole, which is not correct, but that's all right. We will forgive them. That's why we do these community videos like this, to deal with some of the glitches here and there. So actually, these are going to push up. Yeah, that's all right. All right, cable tie. in place. Hold that where it's supposed to be. Yeah. Same thing for the other side. Keep the cables from floating around. Up from the bottom and then right back through. Okay. And there we go. Those are nice and secure. I actually had that backwards. You're supposed to clip them on this side with the short nubs because these are actually going to go up inside grommets. So I'm trying to keep space open there. So then the next part is we run there's a couple of small holes here. We run a cable tie through those as well. And this is prepping it for running the what is it called? The light bulb for the, for the license plate. The wire for that is going to be held with this. So we just put this in initially loosely, just get it started. And then we will, come on. Just want to be sure I don't accidentally go and tighten it right up. So like that, and then we take this. This is going to line up like this. So this headlight wire, or headlight license plate wire goes through there, like that. And once this is all lined up with these holes here, which it is, then we can tighten that up so it holds that in place, and then that's eventually going to plug into here. So, all right, and then I have to grab the other harness. Let me just make sure that I'm doing this right, and then we'll move on to the next cut. Okay, next is we hook up their little wiring harness adapter to take their license plate light into the original plug here. And then we also put, there's a couple of plastic washers that they have you put around these two bolt holes here that are going to go up into the fender. So this is just a simple matter of red goes into red, black goes into black. I'm going to slide these down. Come on. Oh, there, real easy. It's making it out harder to be than it was. It's usually how life works. Okay, and then this goes into here. Boom. So I believe next step is we route all this stuff up through the fender and start bolting it on. Ooh, we're making progress. Back on the floor again. So yes, the next step, excuse me, is feed the original harness right back up through the hole where it came from previously. And then we can take these little bolt, I don't know what you call these, but these pieces, standoffs, whatever, push them up into these rubber grommets and it'll hold it in place until we get there we go. And then this screws up in here. So I'm going to put an initial one in just to hold it in place, finger tight, and then I got his buddy here with his little pal, Thread Locker Blue from Permatex. I know I keep calling it Loctite. I know that's like calling tissues, Kleenex, it's a brand, whatever. And we'll run that up on this side. If I can, there we go. Let's do the Happy Gilmore thing. Get in your hole. Okay, it's going up. And I'm gonna do the same thing here just to make sure these are lined up properly. And yes, it looks like they are. So these are longer bolts that go, the ones further to the rear. And a little bit of thread locker. And put that one up in there. It's all coming together. All I need is my cigar. Love it when a plan comes together. No, I'm not smoking a cigar. I hate smoking, but it's the old A-Team. What was that, Hannibal leader? I think that was his name. George Papard. I love it when a plan comes together. Who doesn't? All right. What do they say? Little dab will do ya, right? Every time we use this stuff, we have to use the, what is it, Permashave, I think was somebody pointed that out on a previous video. All right, we'll tighten these guys up. Oops. And get on to the next step. I probably should have used a ratchet for this a little quicker, but whatever. Job still gets done, even if it takes 20 seconds longer. There we go. Okay, so let's check the instructions and see where we're supposed to go next. All right, this is a little strange, but step 30 in the instructions from Evotech is badge it. So, hey, maybe that's a thumbnail right there, I don't know, whatever. So there are 3 little holes in the bottom, and I guess we're just supposed to, why wouldn't you do this before mounting it, guys? But I don't, that's what they, oh God. Get the light on that a little bit better, because I'm just on the struggle bus a little right now. Come on, get in there. Seriously, do this before you get the thing mounted, because come on, this is goofy. All right, I got it on there. I don't know how many people are going to be checking the underside of your back fender or your back seat here going, damn, what brand tail tidy is that? But whatever, they wanted a logo on the bottom. They got the logo on the bottom. I think we're almost there. I think now it's just a matter of, actually, I think we're basically done, because that was the last step in their instructions. So now we just plug the harness into its original location here, put the seat on, attach the license plate, and then it's glamour shot time. So let's do that. We're just about there. It's the instructions from Evotech ended with just this piece here, and the US plate didn't line up right, but there were some leftover pieces. There was this bracket, and some funky bolts to connect everything. And then it turns out, look at that, everything lines up perfectly. We do have, okay, so they included some plastic screws. So, you know, these are made for an international market, and a lot of these plates, the European plates, are a totally different shape. The plates in India, totally different shape. They're those big, long, wide things. So these won't be needed. I'm gonna continue using the original, I like these little reflector ones with the wing nuts. And then they included, this was in the package. I don't know, maybe that's again for the international market where you're gonna put this extra reflector. Oh, there was a reflector on this thing previously somewhere, maybe that's, and then there's an extra piece here. I bet that's what this is for, okay. Oh, starting to all come together, but I don't know where this would be. I have no idea where this thing would be mounted, and I'm not gonna mount it because unless it's, I don't know, that'll be under the plate, whatever. So then there's this piece, which was also, this is plastic, and there are 2 bolts that screw in from the back side here to finish that up. So essentially, we're good. I have my cute little silicone motorcycle, silicone license plate frame. Again, I mentioned this the other day. This is about, you know, you have yourself or family members happen to be in the garage and these sharp motorcycle plates stick out. This is a little bit of a help protect people from gashing up part of their body with that. These fit quite nicely. Where's the, there it is. Oop, I just put it over a little bit. And oh, and by the way, this, for the lineup on this, I took this bolt and pulled it all the way to the, there's a slot right here that's on an angle, pulled it all the way up to the corner, put some thread lock on it, and then tighten this one up and this one up. And then they have these extra ones that are just to kind of keep it from pivoting. And got everything tightened down, and it lines up perfectly with a US motorcycle license plate. And let's see if this wants to, yep, looks like the wing nuts will be just fine on here. Tighten those bad boys up. And with that, boy, this is a noisy chair, but you know, when you dig stuff out of the garbage, sometimes it might have a couple flaws. So come on, get up there. This is an old office chair that pulled the back of it off, and now it's a great garage stool. You don't always have to buy new stuff if you can find repurposed stuff laying around. All right, I think that's it. So get a little tighter. Okay, that should be good. Solid. Let's do the glamour shot now. And this is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. This is the finished product on the Evotech Tail Tidy Fender Eliminator on a 2025 Triumph Scrambler 400X. And, you know, because everybody's going to be checking up under the thing, if you can see it, it even has the Evotech Performance logo snapped up under there. And even with those, the little bit of a change I had to do here with the wires not quite being long enough from the original turn signals, worked out fine. But I think I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's exactly what I was looking for. I know it's solid quality. The machining is in perfection from these guys. And the other part that's somewhat important is, I wonder if it works. So the license plate bulb definitely works. And we come over to the, so when you turn on the left turn signal, it turns on. And if we go to the right works as well. They're not bad. I think these are LEDs right, from the factory. So it's not a bad way to go to just use these for, at least for now. And there is, let me kill the power here and stop sniffling. So there's the 2025 Triumph Scrambler 400X with an Evotech Tail Tidy mounted on the end. And that'll wrap it up for today. And I think maybe tomorrow, it's Saturday in Vegas. It's nice out, but we're gonna do a Corvette cruise tonight. So I'm gonna wrap this up so I can clean up the garage and get things back to normal. So next will be the mounting the carb right on here and wiring that up. That should be really simple. Just a custom wiring harness and get it clamped up with a quad lock mount. So if you enjoy these kind of videos, if this stuff is helpful for you, please remember to subscribe so you get notified when future ones come up. And soon I will be out hitting the trails with this thing and, the dirt roads, some street, just having some fun with it. And we will get some videos posted on that too. So till next time, drive carefully and come back soon.